Hello everyone, VegasVic1965, and I'm coming at you from the AP Network Java server. This week's video is going to be on an iron farm, and I'm going to throw a little twist in it because we are going to do an iron farm slash raid farm slash trading post all in one. So there's no need to waste a whole bunch of space. And as you can see, this is my little western town that I'm working on. The iron farm is going to be over in this direction here. I've shown that off in the past. Actually, it was called the zombie roller coaster. I did that a while back, but I have since removed, if you watched any of my videos, I've removed the roller coaster part of it only because back in 14.0 when it first came out, we had some difficulty with the light blocks. Anyway, this iron farm for me produces iron golems about every 35 seconds, and as you can see up there, there is a husk up there, and I'm going to show you how everything's done, put it all together, and that way it's a lot easier to get everything you want to have done, including the traders that I have up top. So without further ado, let's find out. Okay, welcome back everyone, VegasVic1965, and I've actually come into the Addstar server to show you something that I came up with a while back. It was a combination for all three of the projects that I'm telling you about and we're going to build today. I'll do quick tutorial builds. It won't be an elaborate block by block, but it should help you with all your measurements, the amount of blocks you need, everything you need. So take a look at this. You can see this is a kill chamber that you may have seen on some of my other videos if you've watched them regarding the pillager kill chamber. So I've got this leading up, and I'll show you what I mean, where the pillagers will drop down, will pop up top. This is actually on Skyblock, and because you're limited on space, and also for Addstar Skyblock, you're limited on the number of villagers you can have. I think the number is 16. So I had to make do with what I had to get a village, an iron farm, and also traders for the trading hall. So here you can see that this water stream system here leads down into a drop chute for the pillagers. So when the raid does start, they make their way towards the villagers, which are up top. I also wanted to incorporate the iron farm to make one compact design, including the traders up top. And so I initially did this here, and as you can see, I have a hopper line all the way over here. That, of course, we're going to change. What I have is two observers, a comparator, and a dropper that's actually going to come out over here and drop it right into the water, and I will show you that in just a little bit. But as you can see, the pillagers, when the raid starts, will come right towards the village. They'll go into the water streams and down below where we can kill them off. The iron farm design is just built just above that. Same design if you've seen my roller coaster design before, just there isn't a roller coaster. In this design, I don't have a zombie setup for it. I could, but I mean, I already have plenty. As you can see, I have plenty of iron I could show you in just a moment. I have plenty with just this design here. But all the traders in here, I have name tags, so I know who's got what. Mr. Chainmail Bootsy? That was actually for a challenge. He sells chainmail boots, and I'm able to turn that in for a challenge. But all the villagers that I need here are here. Now, they cannot be kept in a minecart. They have to be free to roam. Because of the mechanics of the game, they must have the ability to be able to sleep. As you can see, I have my bell in the center there, so when the raid goes off. So even if that sleep is just for a fraction of a second, if you've seen it before, they do need to have that fraction of a second sleep. And because of the beds, I was able to set the workstations right here on the second block up. Let's go down and take a look at iron production. Not too bad, and I haven't been on it. Actually, I'm guilty of not being here for quite a while. But the iron is great. I could, in essence, in the back over here, set up, which I'm going to show you, a zombie in that area with two trapdoors, and he will think that he can actually get to those villagers and jump up and down constantly. So, now that you've seen all three together, let's get started. Okay, for the next part of this, I want to give a at least give credit to the person who actually came up with this, Zuma. Back in, I think, January of 2017, he came up with this particular design and pixel rifts. I believe Zuma's design had redstone, pixel rifts changed it into 2 observers. So you can see what I've got set up here for the iron blocks, or the iron golems that are going to spawn, and I'll show you just like this. If we have an iron golem that spawns in our iron farm, he'll pop down. And we have a dispenser set up here. Now the dispenser is pointing straight down into the water streams where the pillagers will actually come in. I have a block here with comparator facing out, and I have 2 observers that are going to face each other. Once the iron gets through and sets off the signal, activates this, which activates or powers this block, which activates the piston, which pushes the observer up, and then of course the observers are sending signals back and forth to empty out this dispenser. And that will drop everything down into this catch. Okay, now for the iron farm portion of this, you can see here I am building this 6 blocks off the ground. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the 7th block, I'll build that square like you saw right over there. We're going to add in our hoppers here and our signs, and you're going to want to go up from here at least 10 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So once we have our 10th, oops, we can close this one off. And this is where our iron golems will actually fall into. So let's go down here and put in our signs. Okay, your signs are going to go, you're going to skip one space because your hoppers are going to be here. You're going to skip a space, you put a sign there, a sign here, or on the back side, a sign there, and a sign there. Now we'll go ahead and add in our hoppers and our observer clock. On the 2nd block underneath here, from here, and 1 over is where we're going to place that stationary block that's actually going to get powered. Right here. So on top of this, we're going to place our comparator. Next to that, we're going to put our dropper here. Actually, let's go ahead and put the piston in. There's our piston. Our observer is going to go right on top of that, facing that direction towards the other observer we're going to place in a moment. Now the other observer is going to go right on top of this here. There we go. And then right next to this, we're going to have our observer. Let me our dispenser. Let me double check. Yep. The dispenser is going to go right here, facing downwards. So I'll put a temporary block right there, get underneath here, and put our dispenser, our dropper right there. And that should get this to work and fire off. We're going to test this out just to make sure I did this correctly, because I am no mumbo. Trust me, I am no mumbo. But let's put the hoppers in here. So we're going to have a hopper going into this dispenser, or excuse me, dropper. 1 more here. Then when we come up inside, we're going to set down a hopper facing downwards, and then the other ones are going to face right into the other ones. So if we set down some blocks, let's just we'll drop these 16. And there they go, spitting right out into our water streams where our pillagers are going to go. And so now the next step is we're going to build the top portion of this. Okay, for the top portion, where you see it drops in, you count this one here, count that block, and we're going to go back 8 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to go up 1. And this is going to be a total of 2. 1, 2. Then we're going to go up 1 again. And that's going to be your lip. And we're going to fill this in on both sides just like this. Once you have both sides done, that's our water streams. They're going to drop them into the kill chamber. You're going to want to make sure that you put a covering on the front. I like to use glass so I can see what's going on. And you want to make sure you go high enough so they don't fall out of there. And build this all the way across. Okay, once you have both sides done, you'll see that we have a drop of 2 blocks here, and then actually that's just a wall to keep the iron golems from getting out. They'll drop here, and because this is only 2, we drop 2 water sources there. It'll flow all the way to the end on both sides. And then you want to come back into the center so you can get your villager pod ready to go. And as you can see, the inside of this is 4 wide. It's going to be a total of 6 wide. So we're going to come down here and add 1 to each side. This is going to be too high all the way. And we're going to add our glass block here. That's going to be our villager pod all the way. So let me add this other side to show you what I'm talking about. This is going to go back 16 blocks from here. This will be a villager pod. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That should be the end of your villager pod. And you're going to want to fill that in. Once you have that filled in, you're 16 by 6. Your next step is to come down here, and you're going to finish, of course, the other side like you did before. But on each side, you're going to do this. You see this is 8 wide in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're also going to go back 8. So let's go back 8. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're going to want to come up 1 block and come across 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you want to fill this in, and this one is actually going to go back 7 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The last one is going to be your lip to the top. Now you want to fill all this in, including the edge over here. Okay, when you are finished, this is what you should have. You should have an 8 by 8 platform here. There, mirrored the same sides, they're both the same. 7 in the back and 7 in the back. And why it's 7 in the back is because you can drop a water source every other block and it will continue to flow all the way down to here. And again, I mentioned drop 2 water sources there. It'll also flow all the way to here, dropping the iron golems down below to your kill chamber. Now, why is the villager pod made of glass? Well, that's because we don't want iron golems spawning in and around the villagers. We want them to spawn on the platforms to the left or to the right, and they will spawn within 8 blocks of a villager. So this covers pretty much every area that they can besides the inside from where they're at. Now, what you want to remember is to put slabs here. You can do it now or you can do it later, but you want to make sure that you do put slabs on here to keep any spawns from happening. The glass box you really don't have to worry about, because mobs do not spawn. Most mobs do not spawn. However, iron golems have been spawning on glass occasionally, like on this roof, and that's why later in this build you will see that I've added in a water build on top. So if you've seen this iron farm design, similar design before that I've done, you'll see that I put a water system up top to knock them off of there. So once you have your slabs done, the next thing is to get the villager pod together. And we're going to be using the outer edges, and we're going to go up 8 blocks. So let's get our glass. Counting the first one, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're saying, why so high? Well, because the villagers are going to be standing down here on top of beds. So I'm not going to count the first block that we place, because a bed is going to exist there, and they're going to be standing on top of that. So they're going to take up these 2 spots here, of which our workstations are going to go here on that second block. Now, the reason we need that space up there is because depending on the biome that you're in, if you're in desert biome, you have nothing to worry about. You could build this much lower. But any other biome, there's a risk of thunderstorms. And on thunderstorms, if you did not know this, that if there's not a 3-block airspace and lightning does strike, it will change those villagers you have inside into witches. So that's why we need 3 blocks of airspace in between the villagers and that top block. So that's why in this it's 8. It covers all the different biomes, not just only the other ones besides desert. So we're going to build this at 8. We're going to go all the way around, and I shall be right back. Okay, we're back. Now, I should have mentioned earlier, I guess, I leave myself a spot open in here so I can get my villagers up in here. Now, the number of villagers I bring up is just 2. I only bring up 2 villagers, and I do make sure that I keep these areas closed. These are going to be areas where you're going to put the workstations, and of course you're going to lay your beds out here, almost back to back. So I face 10 to 15, actually 10 to 12 this way, and of course 10 to 12 this way. But you can use whatever light source you want, really. If you want to put jack-o'-lanterns up there or glowstone, feel free to. Right now I'm just going to go ahead and put up these lights here. I think that's good enough. And of course, your back area that you're going to want to use, you can set yourself at a ladder or a water elevator, however you want to get up in and out of here. It's totally up to you to use this for a trading hall. So our next step is going to be to get some villagers up here. Now, the way I usually go about doing it is I get myself a minecart with some activator rails, with some powered rails and some regular rails, and I'll move them up that way. And how you move your villagers up there is up to you, but to me I believe that's probably the easiest way. But there is one other method in case you don't have access to all the rails, and that is, it's a little more time consuming, is you can move them by setting down beds. Like for example, you can set an area where your 2 villagers are at down below a little ways with 2 beds, box them in, and then later on during the daytime you can get yourself you can set another pod a little higher, set the beds there with a staircase leading them up to those beds. So when nighttime hits, they'll pop into those beds, or they'll go up the stairs into those beds, and then you can block it off again and do the same thing. That of course is the long way, so hopefully you can get yourself some iron to get your villagers up here. But once I get them in here, that's when I start breeding. And the way to breed them, of course, I said, is to set the beds out first. So let's get ourselves some beds. Let's use blue. So I'll set my beds out here. Let's just do 20 villagers. I know on some servers they limit the amount of villagers you can have in an area or a chunk. So for this case, I'm just going to do 20. I know on Addstar we can do, I would say 24 to 26 and you're safe. On Adults Craft, we can do as many as we want, although I feel sorry for the server TPS. I'm going to limit this just to 20 villagers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'll do the same thing over here. So we've got 10, and we still have a working area. Now you want to remember that over in this area here is where you're going to put your zombie back into this spot over here. So we can actually go up here and build onto that later on. But usually right around here, this third block up, the second block up on the top half of this, you're going to want to run your, actually I got to block myself. I'll have to change this. Let me fill that in. But this is where you're going to have your villagers on the other side, and you'll be able to get in and out. But in the meantime, since you will be having baby villagers in there, you're going to want to make sure that you at least set yourself up a way for them not to get out. And that's simply a matter of right underneath this, we're going to set up fence gates and a fence gate. So you'll be able to get in and out anytime you want, but the villagers will not be able to. So if we set a couple of villagers in here, let's pull up a villager. I can cheat because I'm in creative. Let's grab a villager egg. We'll pop a couple of villagers in here. Whoops, I'm resting, I guess. We're going to wake up now. Okay, so let's pop a couple of villagers in here. And of course, they have no profession, and they won't have one until I set the workstations down. Now, what I have found is that the unemployed villagers tend to breed at different times of the day, unlike villagers that have workstations. Villagers with workstations have a certain pattern they're going to follow throughout the day. And when they first wake up, they will mingle and socialize until 8 a.m. or 2,000 ticks. And they'll work all the way from 2,000 ticks or 8 a.m. all the way till 3 p.m. or 9,000 ticks. Between those hours, they're only interested in working. They will not breed. However, the unemployed, I have found, will actually do a breeding session once or twice during the workday. So that's a big plus. If you get them up there without a workstation, let them breed. So we, of course, need to get them some food. And I like to use, my favorite food is bread. Because really, you only need to give one couple, like this couple here, 3 pieces of bread. And they will share that. And I just dropped only 1. So let's try that again. Let's give him 2 more. So now that he has some bread, or he's sharing it already, these guys should be able to breed. Normally what I do is, because I want to breed this pretty quick, is I'm just going to toss the other guy some bread too. And you can toss as many as you want, because right now you're really trying to fill this up. So just unload a bunch of bread on these guys. I usually do 3 at a time. I'll pop 6 or 9 on them. Don't follow me around. You guys should be doing stuff. That's right. Get busy. Get busy. Okay, so I got our first little baby villager, and that is the reason I want to have these fence gates up here, because we do not want them going out into our work area. So to get in and out, it can be a little bit of a hassle sometimes if they follow you, but for the most part, they are not going to, they're going to bounce around and play on the bed, so you don't really have to worry about them too much. Now, above these slabs, I want to make sure that I'm going to put glass panes above that. And the reason for that is because the game, or the iron golem mechanics, are going to consider that a full block, since it's a top half slab, and an iron golem can actually appear there. But with all that glass in the way, that's not going to happen. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and get our waterways done on the top. Okay, we're going to build the top half of it. This, you don't have to build this right away, but if you do experience iron golems spawning on top of the glass, which they are not supposed to on the roof, then go ahead and add what we're about to do right now. And one thing I want to mention also is, I did mention that we will be putting the workstations here on the second block up. And if you notice, I did not leave those open. And the reason for that is because these little guys will fit between a 1 block space and get out on you. So make sure everything's closed. You can always take these out later once they're all adults. And as far as mechanics go, they will breed depending on the number of beds in the village. So if there's 20 beds, they're going to breed till they fill all 20 beds. Any more than that, you'll see heart particles, but you're going to get angry particles. And that's because there's not enough beds. So if you see that and you want more, check the number of beds, or check the number of villagers. You may already have reached the max. So let's build this top portion. This, like I said, is just in case. On the back here, what I'd like to do is I'll put a row of fences. And then the rest of these, what I'm going to need is to come around with a block on the outside. And I'm going to set these blocks here so I can set up fence gates all the way, the rest of the way around. Okay, now I've set my staircase up to get back and forth. Since we're in survival, we'll be doing that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set fence gates on each and every one of these blocks that I've placed around the outside. And we're going to go back in and open them all. And once you've opened them all, you go ahead and remove each and every one of the blocks because you don't need them any longer. Of course, don't forget to leave yourself a block to get back down. I almost did that to myself, didn't I? Okay, now that you set your fence gates up and you've removed those blocks, you can, in essence, down here set yourself up a temporary water holding area if you wanted to. For example, we want to, let's see. You want an infinite water source, so you could set one up right here like this. That way you can get back and forth and keep drawing water out of the center. That way you can fill this up, because what you're going to want is a water source on each one of these blocks in the middle. And it really doesn't matter, you can pick this one or that one, but you want a water source on each one of these. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and that should be good enough. Now the iron golems themselves are too wide, so you can see there's standing water in the middle. Now you yourself could stand there, but the iron golem, if one does land there, since he's too wide, he's going to hit one side or the other and get pushed off. So if we are unfortunate enough, and they have not fixed that bug yet, and that's why I continue to build them this way, then if an iron golem does appear up there, he'll get washed off to the side, or down over here into the other part of the kill chamber. Next thing, clean up and get ready to set your water streams in. Okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we're going to go back down to where you have your lava. If you haven't already placed it, because we want to make sure we finish up placing the glass blocks on the inside, we also want to set the lava in there. So the lava is going to be going on above the signs, so you want to make sure that you at least are standing one block above that. So why don't we set down, you can set one lava if you want. I like to do 4, but you don't need all 4. And then finish off with your glass blocks all the way to the top, and then we'll do our water streams up top. Okay, what I find easiest here is to open up a block right here, a couple of them, and then on your slabs you can actually crouch to get up there, because you're probably doing this in survival. And you can set a water source block, one every other one. One here, skip one, skip one, skip one. And you're going to need that last one. And you can do the same thing for the other side. And if you want, you can walk all the way around if you wanted to. Don't forget, we need 2 more water source blocks here. Okay, before we go on to the zombie part, the placing the zombie, I want to ensure and make sure that you guys understand, once you start populating your villagers, as you can see in the other one, my old one here, all of them have professions. Now, I only set these guys up for fishermen. It wasn't really that important to me at the time I was getting this model up and running. But once you get about 6 unemployed villagers in there, that's about the time that you're going to want, if you want librarians and you want to use it as trading hall, that's about the time, before you breed anymore, that you want to go in and you want to set up their professions by setting down lecterns, not inside these block or work areas just yet. You want to set them up inside the farm itself, somewhere on top of a bed. Once you have set down those 6 lecterns, for example, those 6 librarians that you're going to have, you can start cycling through them, and you can cycle through them in groups. So, for example, once you've went through either 4 or 6 of your librarians, and you're happy with the trades they have after you've cycled through them, and you've traded to lock them in, then breed them again. Because by now it'll move exponentially, because when you start passing out bread to 4 villagers, then you're going to get 2 more. You spread them out to 6, you're going to get 3 more. And it just keeps building up until you're able to fill your entire pod up with all the villagers that you wanted. So remember, stop at like 4 or 6, set down some lecterns if that's what you want. If you want the librarians, cycle through the trades to find the trades that you want. Once you've got them, then you can pick those. Once you've traded and locked them in, then you can pick those workstations back up again, and you can throw out bread to them. They will then, of course, breed some more, and the new ones do the same thing. Now, once you've got them all taken care of and you're completely full, then you'll go back in, get your zombie ready for the next stage. Okay, for the zombie portion of this, to get it in the back, you want to build yourself a staircase. Now, where are you going to have him drop off at? Is right here on the very first block that opens up, because this is 6 wide. Remember, 6 wide on the interior is 4 wide. So on this first block on the interior right here, you're going to have it 1 block down, which is right behind the line of your wall for where the golem's dropping in. So from there, build your staircase down to the bottom. I'm using glass here so I don't accidentally get any iron golems to spawn. You can use whatever block you want if you want, but if you do get a golem to spawn out here, it could be a little bit of a pain in the butt to get rid of. So once you've built that, on the inside, you're going to build yourself 2 blocks. Now, I did this as an extra precaution, not really necessary to have the one behind it, but it's important to have a block that's going to be able to block the light so the zombie does not die. And you also want to make sure that you got yourself set up with a name tag, as you can see down in my hotbar. So I'm ready to go to bring a zombie in here. But how am I going to block him off? Well, that's what that piston's for. As you can see, here's the 1 block drop from the inside. And right over here, I've got a glass with a piston. And this piston's going to push this glass block in here to block him. And the zombie is going to try and get up in here, but he's not going to be able to, because I have set up, and I'll show you what I mean. I have set up a trapdoor right there. So when the zombie follows me up this staircase, I'm going to come out, close this. He's still going to follow me up here, and you're going to see that in a moment. I'm going to come right around here, and you'll see on the last block, which is the 6th block out, So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the total width. Of course, like I said, 4 on the interior. So on that 6th block, I'm going to place my piston here facing that direction, and you can see right here I've got a glass block ready to go to pop in here to block him off, which will eventually go there. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Hit that button, the piston pushes, and there's the glass block. Let's reset the trap. Again, we have the trap door ready to go, and I want to make sure that I open that. There we go. What we need now is nighttime, and we'll lure one in there, and I'll show you what I mean. I got 2. Who's going to make it there first? Super simple to get them to come up. And here they come. I'll drop the trap door. They'll come around. And I got my trap set. Okay, once these guys have had one full day to actually be at their workstations, you got the zombie in place, and I see we have what looks to be a golem that's stuck. He eventually will work his way out of there. I've seen this happen on occasion. And once he does and he gets down into the kill chamber, there's about 35 seconds on average in between each one. And what I'd like to do now, seeing that we have everything completely set and ready, I want to see if in fact this is going to be every 35 seconds or approximately, so bear with me as we watch this take place. Okay, countdowns would start right now. Well, that one was actually about 26 seconds. It's kind of fast. As you can see in the back, these guys will keep popping up. And during the daytime, you will get very few spawns unless you do have your zombie. So if you're wondering, do I really need one to have one there? Well, yes, you do. Because if you don't, during the nighttime, nothing's really going to happen. They're not going to be there. There's no more gossip system, so to speak, the way it used to be when it first came out in 1.14. But they do need to show some sort of urgency in having a protector around like a golem. So by having that zombie there, you can ensure that you have iron golems spitting out through the night. That one passed. I'm guessing about 10 or 15 seconds. Let's see what happens with the. Oh, there's the next one. It may have been sooner than that, but usually it takes a little bit longer. About, like I said, on average, about 35 seconds to get a new golem. So, but the next stage we're going to be looking at is what to do with all of this here, and that's going to be our raid farm. So down below here, as you can see, I've already pre-plotted this out, and you can see that the first initial layer here is going to be 6 deep. Again, I think I might have mentioned earlier that if you go 5, you can, but you'll have to put a water source on each and every one of these. Going back 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you'll be able to place your water source blocks every other one. So in here, you see a 3 by 3 hole, and that's mainly because we want to make sure that the Ravengers get burned up by what we've built over here. And that's I believe I might have gone over it a little earlier, but you have one fence gate in the center that is closed. That'll keep the Ravagers from falling down inside. The other fence gates around will allow all the pillagers, the vindicators, and evokers to fall in, and also the witches. And you have signs placed on top. You'll need to crouch to place the signs. You'll place 2 here. There'll be 1 on the fence gate on the inside. That'll raise it high enough so the pillagers, vindicators, evokers, and witches don't get hit by the fire. But the Ravagers definitely will. So you've got the fence gate that's closed, a sign on top. You've got fence gates all the way around, 3 here, 1 here, 3 here, 1 here. And then on top you have signs, 2 on top of each of the center fence gates that you see. So coming back over here to our build, you want to make sure that when you're building this out, that you don't have too many obstacles in the way for the raid to actually make it to your farm. Like this wouldn't pose too big of a problem, but any giant holes you want to go out and try to cover those, this might pose a problem. So usually what I've done in the past is I've tried to build these out like in a desert area, the flattest area possible, at least about 50 blocks out to make sure it's flat to where the pillagers have no trouble getting, your pillager raid has no trouble getting to your raid farm. So from here, again, we've gone 6 out here, 6 out that way, 6 out this way, and 6 out that way. Once we have built the Ravager holder to keep the water back and keep the Ravagers from coming down, that's when you'll go ahead and place your water source blocks. Now I have set them up, I have not set them up. On the edges here, you're going to run out 5 on each side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as you see that I have done down over here. So if we were to set the water streams in, let me get my water bucket. And so once we set our water streams in, ran into my other one, didn't I? And on your final one, you're going to want to place a water source right on top of there, and then you can remove those blocks. Do that for each 4 corner, or each of the corners. And you'll see that anything that actually runs in here will actually flow all the way down to the center. A lot of times on my raid farms, if you've seen me do these before, you'll see that like the witches and the pillagers will run up close to here, including the Ravagers, and as soon as they even touch this, they get pulled into the water streams and go right down in there. Now why do they do that? It's because they're heading towards the villagers that are supposedly up top, like we have right over there. So the next step, of course, is the build down below, because obviously this is not deep enough. You want to go down, and you'll see I've got it over here. You want to go down 21 blocks. Right down here. 21 blocks, this is where you're going to put your hoppers. And we'll move on to that one next. Okay, at this point, we are now at block number 21, as you can see. Now you could probably put in your light source now. If you wanted to, you can always put it in later. I usually put a light source about right there so I can see what's going on. So I'll get rid of that for now. And on block 21 is where we're going to put our hoppers. So I'll put a hopper into this spot right there, and then I'll put the other 8 hoppers into that one. Now we have the drop area. And what you're going to eventually want to do is put iron trapdoors on top of here. Actually, excuse me, you're going to put slabs on top of there. The iron trapdoors we're going to use for the kill chamber area. And what you're going to need to do next, of course, is clean this out to where you can get to that. Okay, now that you dug your chamber out, you can now just hook up your chest to this if you like. If I can figure out how to do that. I like to add additional chests onto here. You don't have to if you don't want to. I just like doing it. That way, if you get a group of people that are playing with you and you build up quite a bit of loot, there's no big deal. And you can arrange these a lot of different ways that you can arrange these chests the way you want. Some people run hoppers all the way straight down. Either way, I just always like doing it this way. So everything that drops into those hoppers will end up in the last chest. And if you've got a group, make sure that you unlock those chests for that group that you're playing with. Next up, usually what I end up doing is putting glass blocks around here so I can see what's going on. Oh, with the exception of those right there. That's usually where I'll put glass blocks here. And that is where you're going to put your iron trapdoors. They're going to go right on this one right here. 1, 2, and 3, because back here you're going to set up your slabs. So let's grab ourselves some slabs. Any slab, any old slab will do. Let me see if I actually have it. Yeah, I do. Any old slab will do. This will give you the safety net just in case you happen to click here, that it won't open up and let an evoker or a pillager see you to actually hit you or cause anything to happen. So from here, we'll just basically build out a little bit more. We're going to build ourselves a platform. There are boats that are going to go above the ceiling. My suggestion would be above the ceiling here to set at least 2 boats next to each other all the way around. If you see my previous video, which I will be linking in the description, you'll see I placed those boats there. That idea came from a guy named Crow Eater that I play with on Addstar. Excellent idea, because if you happen to get unlucky and get vexes, when an evoker gets a cast off, then if vexes are one of those, and they're really nasty on the Java side. So by having those boats up there, when those vexes are floating around, they're going to end up getting stuck in one of those boats. If not, comes the second precaution that you can take. And usually what I've done, and I'll show you here in a moment, I have iron golems that I actually make and I set down here. Usually about 4 of them. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, we are here on the Adults Play Network Java server, and let's take a look and see. Oh, we've got some people that are AFK farming right now. We've got Awuga, Mrs. Rodderin, Shadow Fox 85, and Shrunk Zebra. I hope they're resting well while they're farming. But anyway, let's take a look at what I was talking about with the boats and the golems. The golems I have, you can see set up here. I have quite a few. I usually do just 4 or 5. I think I may have a couple more on the other side as well. Nope, just 5. But above here are the boats I was talking about. If I can take one out without causing... There you go. That is, I think I have 2 or 3 boats in a row, and there's all the way around here. And that helps prevent any vexes that get spawned. In case they're flying around, they get stuck in them boats. And with the blocks above the boats, they'll end up suffocating a little bit faster. Right, buddy? If not, there's always you. And I always leave signs up to let people know, if you get vexes from the evokers, run to the golems, don't swing. I can't stress that enough, and I tell everyone when they use it, don't swing. Let the golems do their job. Because if you swing and you hit them by accident, I'm telling you now, it's not going to be a good thing. All right, so let's go back over and finish up the build. Okay, the next step is we're going to set up our pistons back here, because what we definitely don't want is to have an evoker running loose. They're very fast. And by setting up a piston array in the back, I've got 3 in the back, 2 on the sides that I'm going to show you. We'll dig that out. It'll be the same level that the boats will be on. And I'll put a switch right here. Now the switch, when you flip it, will push those in the back forward, and the 2 here on the right will push them to the center. So you'll actually have them grouped up right here. Very easy swing to kill them. One more. Okay, now that you've seen the 8B Java side of what I've done with the farm, of course we've dug this out up here, and we're going to set our boats out. You want to put at least a line of 2 boats side by side all the way around. And for the piston part of it, we're going to come right down into here, and we're going to put 3 pistons in the back above these. So if you're looking at the kill chamber, turn right around. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to place our pistons right in here. 1, 2, and 3. Now these pistons are going to come forward, so you're going to want to come forward as well with the pistons on the other side here, and on the back side here. So when the redstone gets triggered, these will come forward, these will come forward, and you'll end up with these 2 spots right here, which will make it a lot easier to kill those evokers. Now the redstone portion of it, we're going to come behind here. We're going to do a redstone line behind. And right about here, we want to put ourselves a repeater to make sure the signal does carry. Now it does go 15. I've always put 1 there, but we should be okay. And this will actually trigger it. So if we set up something right here, that should, once we click it, work. There they go. And you'll see that now it's so much easier to hit these guys as opposed to having that huge platform where that evoker just flies around. So they have no room to move anywhere. And if you forget, you leave the switch on, and they happen to be popping down here, no sweat, just flip the switch back. Just don't do it too fast, you'll break it. and then pop it in again, and anybody that actually may have fallen down on top of these will go back inside there again. So let me clean this up. We're going to put some boats in. As a matter of fact, let me get started and show you that. Let's grab some boats. Because behind this, you want to make sure that you don't put the boats in there. But behind this, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to cover this back up again. And then don't forget to backfill in here. You want to come up here and cover these up so when those vexes do happen to come in, they're going to get trapped in the boats and they'll smother themselves right here. Just like that. And you do that all the way around. But at this point, you could actually take that out and put redstone here. And we should be able to get activated right here. There we go. So you're all set to have your switch right there, so when they do pop down. The only thing I forgot to do is put the light source back in. We can do that in just a moment. Okay, now that you've got your boats all the way around, you've got them covered. You want to make sure you come out of here, but do not cover this block. If you put a block right here, this is going to block the redstone signal and it won't work. I'll show you what I mean. Nothing happens. Removing that block and the redstone signal is active. So make sure that you don't block that one off. And you can, of course, come in here and do that, no problem. Make sure we get the right one. There we go. And those boats are safe. You can see one of them flickering up there, no sweat. But you can make this a little prettier if you want to. Get it behind there if you want. But it actually works just fine. Or you can even use a stair. So now that we got this up and running, the only thing left is to pretty basically get a raid started, and you got it going. You're all set. But just remember, you need to set your golems up here. I usually use about 4, maybe 5 golems. I want to make sure that if the vexes do get spawned, that I'm not going to be left undefended. And if you do get those golems set up in here, if you do get vexes, do not run to the golems, but do not swing. Again, do not swing. If you accidentally hit them, they are not going to be happy. Okay, once you've dug yourself out, you can set yourself with your own little portal. If you've seen viewing area, your viewing portal, if you've seen some of my videos, you can see that I've made them kind of similar to this. But you can do these either as an iron farm itself, raid farm by itself, or a combination with a trading hall, or a combination of all three if you like. If for some reason you get your raid to start and something happens to where it doesn't work out and the raid cancels or something, perhaps you set your villagers up too high. There is a fix. If you've already set everything up and it's not working out right because it might be set a little too high, it's just a matter of bringing one villager down below down here. Now on the Java version, any Hero of the Village effect will apply to all villagers and anywhere you go. So what I've done on my other ones with just the raid farm alone by itself is I've actually set up a villager down in here, and you can create yourself your own little pod per se if you want to and put him in there. And that's all he really needs is one little small space. And don't forget to put in the iron golems as well. That way you are protected. And you can trade it with him if you want to right here. That's if there's some reason that your raid farm is sitting too high and that the raid itself is canceling. If you put all three together. Again, like I said, you can do any one of these by themselves, or you can do them all together, or any combination of either one. As you can see, our iron is flowing down through here real nicely. But I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did like it, please click the like button. If you'd like to subscribe for future videos, I make new videos every Wednesday, and I usually have them done by the evening and have them edited and out by early Thursday morning. That's US Pacific time. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to next week's video, and I will see you guys then. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.